Hey guys, how you going? My name is Zoe. I'm a very proud Bundjalung woman from northern New South Wales.
And I'm Ben Bowen, Wiradjuri man, born and bred on Gadigal lands.
This week's tobacco episode is an interview with April Long, providing insights into what it takes to quit, what it meant for her personally, and the challenges and the rewards that she's felt from quitting cigarettes.
My name's April Long and I'm a Gumbaynggirr Darkinjung woman, so my family's from the mid-north coast and central coast of New South Wales. When and why did I first begin smoking? I was 13. I think at that time I was going into year 7 and I have this really distinct memory of walking to school with like a whole mob of us and everyone was smoking, and I was really concerned because I'd never smoked, and I actually asked my older sister to teach me how to smoke because I wanted to be able to have a cigarette with everybody and not look like I hadn't smoked. So I'm now 25, so I've actually been smoking for 12 years. I think people have lots of different reasons for wanting to quit. Originally for me, I was always into my soccer in particular, but generally into a lot of sport. So I tended not to smoke every day, and I guess I was one of those people that was a social smoker. What is a social smoker? I think I use that term for a long time as a little bit of a cushion. So I think a lot of people refer to a social smoker as someone who just will have a cigarette with their family when they're visiting mob, or when they're out socialising and maybe consuming alcohol, or having cups of coffees with people. That's how I used to refer to myself, was that, oh no, I'm not a smoker, I'm just a social smoker. I guess there's a little bit of a protection around, oh, I'm not that bad, but I came to realise that actually the fact that I've been a social smoker for 13 years pretty much makes me a smoker. I think for me this year it was about getting fit and getting healthy, and the life competition really motivated me to do that, to start moving and to eat healthy, and also to quit for life. But also during this last year I've become an auntie, which is really exciting for the first time. I have a niece, and I was sitting there and I was just thinking about my role models and the fact that everybody in my family smokes, and I guess I wanted to be a better role model for her. So I think that was the biggest factor, was probably being a positive role model for her. So today is my 44th day smoke-free. In saying that, on my 39th day, I had a slip-up. So I had a cigarette, and it, for me, I just embraced it as a slip-up, and I didn't get too overwhelmed by it. And it wasn't a full cigarette, so in that sense I'm still feel like I'm 44 days smoke-free, and I'm not really allowing that slip-up to kind of weigh on my mind too much. But I would have to say that in the whole 13 years that I've been smoking, that would be the longest I've gone without a cigarette, and that's kind of the longest period since I was 13, so that's really exciting. I think support networks are really important. I've had friends and family physically take an unlit cigarette out of my hand and out of my mouth. So I've found that during my challenge times, when I've really felt like one, I'll just grab a cigarette and hold it, and I don't want to light it and I don't want to smoke it. And my family's been really, really good in actually encouraging that, particularly my older sister, who was the first person who taught me how to smoke and gave me a cigarette. So she's been really fantastic with that. And you need those people around you for when you are going through difficult times, or you are out enjoying yourself, that actually hold you accountable. So I made my friends that smoke and my family that smoke promise not to give me a cigarette if I ask for one. And I think that's really important, to be clear around, communicating with them that this is a really serious thing. And I also created a support network for myself online. So I've been really, I guess, vocal in saying that this is something that I'm doing through social media, and that also holds you accountable. So if you put on Facebook that you're 44 days smoke free, and then you have a slip up and you're smoking, then people are going to hold you accountable. So I think support networks have been critical for me not to actually currently be smoking. The physical benefits of not smoking, I think, became really apparent when I started. I play futsal, so like a six-a-side football comp at nights, and I've always played first grade soccer and managed to kind of still be relatively fit, but struggling for air. So I really felt it probably around the 30-day mark when, you know, I was playing futsal every Tuesday night, and I just found that I had a lot more energy. I was a lot quicker on the ball. You know, I wasn't kind of making these great plays and then sitting back and recovering and trying to breathe and just kind of survive, you know, on the field. I actually was really pushing a lot more plays and felt like I was, you know, back to, you know, when I was playing when I was 18 or 19, which was really exciting. So I've definitely felt it sports-wise, and, you know, waking up in the mornings after, say, going out with friends and not having a really heavy chest and stinking like a cigarette is also a really great thing. So yeah, I think I've noticed the benefits straight away. I think it's really nice to inspire others. I've had people, because I have been, I guess, writing blogs online and going on Facebook. I did that, you know, purposively to hold myself accountable, but also to inspire other people. So, you know, I really want to be a role model, as I said, for my young niece, but for my cousins and for the young people that we work with at the NCIE through our programs. So I'm very honest with people and say, you know, I used to smoke. I've also got the really giant pictures of the cigarette packets and the feet and the eyes in my office, and I use those to talk to some of the kids in our programs about smoking. And but I've had people come up to me, you know, friends through uni, and who have said, "Oh, you've really inspired me to quit, and it's been great following your you know, blogs and everything like that." And I think that's because I've been really honest about things, and, you know, that it's not really easy, and, you know, there are these kinds of slip-ups, but you've got to keep going and, you know, continuing to, I guess, be on your journey of quitting for life. So yeah, there's been a number of people that have come up to me, and for me that's the most rewarding thing. I'm absolutely doing it for my own health, but if we can inspire others to realise that it's not that hard and you can, you know, with the right support, you can actually quit, then I think that's a fantastic thing.
The recipe this week is the 5-ingredient non-cooked granola bar, which is really simple and super delicious.
Okay, today we're going to focus on some running techniques. We hear a lot about people getting injured while they're running, so we just want to break it down into some basics to keep you injury free while you're out there. Today we're looking at running, just the basics, so looking at how you should position your body to be in a nice strong position to give you that core stability, looking at where your feet should land and how your knees and that should respond. A few little tips around just what sort of shoes and that you should be looking at. Normally when we walk, we're going to have a lot of heel strike action. That's the way that our body moves. But when we're running, what we want to do is limit that heel strike. So what happens is when we're running, if we have our feet out and landing on that heel, we lose a lot of our momentum. But what happens is that heel will strike and your foot will naturally roll in or out. That's what we hear about all these shoes having a lot of build up on them. So what we do there, we hit, stop, and then our feet slap, and we've lost our momentum and we have to drag ourselves over that body position. One of the tips that we use, and what I used to use with racing, was lift with your knee in the front and then land on the knuckle of your foot. So where you've got all your joints behind your toes, that's the point you want to land on. And what happens is as you land on that, your body position is already over that foot. You've lost no momentum as you go over and you keep moving forward. So if we've got this position now where we're landing on that knuckle of the foot, it takes out the need for a lot of the shoes that we see on the market today. So we'll see a lot of shoes that will have a build up on the inside or the outside to stop your heels striking and rolling your ankles. What that does, it gives us more problems within the foot structure. And what we need to do is get on that knuckle and run in what we call neutral shoes. So the best and first tip I give all new runners, buy some neutral runners and get up on the knuckle of your foot. What's important with your upper body while we're running is you keep it tall but relaxed. So what we mean by tall is you have a piece of string on the crown of your head that pulls yourself nice and tall through your spine, but you keep your shoulders down and your arms relaxed. So what it means in action is as your hand comes forward, your fingertips should be nice and relaxed and they almost should flop around. But as you come forward in that hand position, you're not lifting that shoulder up. So as you run, you just keep that nice, easy, relaxed position into your shoulder. Other thing that we try to do is a midline of our body. Is you see a lot of runners will run with their hands coming across and tapping in the opposite shoulder. What it actually leads you to do is as you rotate across to reach that shoulder, is your knee will then rotate across, which then throws your lower body balance out. So a few things there. To repeat, arms nice and relaxed, shoulders away from your ears, and hand coming straight forward and your fingers nice and relaxed. So as you saw today with that technique, standing tall but relaxed in the joints is what's going to be key to reducing your impact on your knees and ankles and hips. What we try to do with new runners is get you on soft surfaces, which is like AstroTurf or your grass, rather than your concrete sort of harder surface. What that'll do is limit how much force goes back through your feet and ankles, and especially into your knees. One thing we do hear with people is they do say that they're not a natural runner. There is no such thing. Basically, all our bodies are meant to run that way. All we need to do is reteach some of those basic actions. Our feet were meant to run bare on soft surfaces, not concrete. So picking the right shoes and just tailoring our running techniques is the key to it. Today's segment on bikes, we're going to look at some basic mechanics of changing a tyre. A lot of the bikes we see around town in our communities are all suffering a flat tyre, which is stopping them from getting out. So here's a simple fix for them. So today we're just going to look at some basic maintenance tips, a pre-ride check, and just how to do the basics like change the tyre. So today obviously we've got a home base, so we're not actually out on the road doing it, but same basics to look at. First of all, what we need to do is get the chain in the right spot on the back cassette. So as you can see, we're at about 4 cogs up. So the best thing to do is gear it right down to the bottom cog, spin it through. So it's in that small cog. What that allows us to do, when we put the chain back on, it'll make sure that we're in the right gear and we don't bust the derailleur or do any damage to our spokes. Next step is pull out the axle or the skewer, depending on which one you're riding. This one's an axle. Straight out, wheel comes out. It's nice and easy when you've got it in the right gear. With a lot of these tyres, even road tyres, you can get them off with your fingers most of the time. Depends how tight they'll be. As you can see, it comes off nice and easy. Just run your finger through, tyre comes fully out, here comes your tube. One of the key tips we try to teach people is your logos on your tyres. Try to put that where your valve will go, because if you ever find some damage on your tyre and you're in the tube, if you have a quarter turn, you can actually go from that logo, find a quarter turn and find where the holes are, any damage like that. So as I said, we've run our fingers through here, there's no damage, there's nothing sticking through. One tip is with that, try to do it lightly. Don't drag your fingers through really hard, because if there's a piece of wire there or a bit of glass, it'll cut your fingers open. Basically sit that tyre out on the bottom, put your tube in, put the valve through, and then just feed it through the tyre wall so that you've got it all within that bit, and then just put the lip over as you go around. As you get to the last quarters where it gets tight, just be careful you're not going to pinch that tube, so just make sure the tube is going in as well. When you get to that last bit, just roll it over. Key point now, and most people do it wrong, is you get a pinch flat where that tube sticks out. So what you want to do is just pull the whole tyre over. If you can see the tube, you're in trouble. If you can't, you're all right. So just run it over, do the whole tyre. No tube, you're all good to go. Straight onto a pump it up to whatever PSI you want. Mountain bike's about 30 to 35. Okay, because we spent a bit of time, put that in the right cog. It's very easy to put it back in now. All you do is line the chain up with that cog, push your derail down and it'll pop into spot. And line it up finally just with that back brake. Skewers go in and we're ready to go. And that's how you change your tyre. Okay, before we go for any ride, it's best thing to do is check your equipment, just for safety, but also for the safety of other riders that you're going to be there. Worst thing that can happen to us besides a bad crash is we start riding and a mechanical ruins our day and we come home early. So basic mountain bike check. One of the first things we do, tyre pressure. Everyone's different. These are running at about 30-35. It's probably a good pressure for most people. You can go up to about 40 max. Lighter weight you are, the lower the pressure. Next thing we do once we have that is grabbing the front brake, just wiggling the bike, make sure our headset's nice and tight. If we have any movement here, we have a risk of breaking that or doing more damage, or when we brake, the bike can flick out underneath us. Check front brake, check our back brakes are working, all good. Spin wheels through, make sure they're true, make sure they're spinning freely. Same on the front. Next thing to do, one of the last things, just check all your gears here, they're nice and clean, chain's nice and clean, and that your derailleur's in the right spot. One thing when we look at the derailleur, it's one thing that's overlooked a lot of the time. You can see a nice straight line on that. When we change gears, it'll stay in a pretty straight line. If that's bent in or out, we've got a few problems and we can snap that, and it means you'll be walking home, you'll have no gears. Once you've got that ready, last thing to do, put your helmet on and off you go. Great news this week, we've launched our inaugural Koori Cup, which is a mountain biking event to be held in Port Macquarie in July.
This is a chance to get all our mobs together and challenge yourself with a number of different tracks. It's the 2-day event. For expressions of interest, the link is attached at the end of this episode, so feel free to send us an email.
Thanks for tuning in, stay in touch, and we'll be back in 2 weeks' time.